Tonight, he's gonna blow your minds. America, give it up for the legendary David Copperfield.
My name is David Copperfield.
In this video, I will reveal David Copperfield's motorcycle appearing shadowbox illusion. Here's a quick recap of what happened. This trick is probably one of Copperfield's most favorite openers. He's performed it on his TV specials, on America's Got Talent, and in live shows, some of which have been publicly posted. The illusion begins with a large box that is spun all the way around, then opened from the front to show there's no one hidden inside and no mirrors involved, thanks to the help of lights and two assistants. The front panel is then closed and brought closer to the audience. Suddenly, the light source casts a shadow of Copperfield on a motorcycle, and when the panel is removed, he's really there. You can find plenty of amateur videos on YouTube of what looks like David Copperfield's shadowbox illusion, using a curtain positioned close to the box in the background to hide the actual object. The box can be shown completely empty up close, but once it is covered, the motorcycle is simply shifted into it using a movable platform, which becomes obvious when you compare the base before and after. Not only is this version obvious to a layman, it's also ridiculous in its presentation, because it completely misses the core idea of using shadows to create the illusion of something appearing inside. Now, a closer look at the box makes it clear there isn't enough room for Copperfield and a motorcycle to hide within the base, or to be brought in through a trapdoor in the stage. This would be impractical for such a heavy machine like a motorbike, and there is no way to achieve it with mirrors either, since mirrors simply do not work that way, as I have already explained in the black box explanation. The thinness of the base can be observed in multiple performances. In both his America's Got Talent appearance and his specials, we even get a close-up shot showing right underneath the base. Since the box is set quite far away from the background in both his America's Got Talent appearances and his special, this might suggest he is hiding within the box. So, could it be that he is using some sort of double depth or false back? In other words, what we see when the front panel is opened is not the true back panel but a false one, hiding Copperfield and the motorcycle. However, there are two reasons this is unlikely. First, if the back were false, we would never be shown the side view, since it would have to be much longer to fit both him and the bike. Second, the light source was waved not only inside the box but also behind it. The moment the light passed behind, it would have instantly cast their shadow onto that false back panel. I did find a variation of the shadow box performed by Frederic Clement where about 90% of the performance is identical to Copperfield's, but with one slight difference that instantly gives the secret away. Right before they prove nothing is inside, they tilt the box 90 degrees forward, and when that happens, it's positioned at the edge of the platform it sits on, making it obvious the magician on the motorbike was hidden and fixed onto the platform from the very beginning. In the back, a panel is unfolded as it drops, covering this area and hiding the magician who is simply seated behind it. When the box is returned to position, the cloth is manually folded and placed behind the motorbike. You can even catch a glimpse of that folded-up cloth here. Now, if we rewind back to Copperfield's performance and start looking at the clues I'm about to point out, you can easily reverse engineer his method, which is quite clever. The first clue is the motorcycle and how it is positioned on a metal platform. If you compare this platform before and after the motorcycle appears, you'll notice that similar to the amateur version, Copperfield also uses a platform that is movable. The second clue you'll spot is right here in his live performance, where the back panel curtain accidentally gets hit by his assistant, showing that it is not properly attached to the frame. And, when this very platform is twisted, you'll notice something odd near the base, which are these 4 notches over here, that are clearly visible only on the back side. Now, compare the position of these 4 notches with the base of the platform seen in his TV special, which is the only close-up that clearly shows it. You'll notice the 2 center notches match perfectly. The 2 outer notches aren't visible, simply because the motorcycle's tires are positioned right in front of them. At this point, things start to make sense, because, unlike the black box trick, which was fully dismantled with no blind spots, the shadow box was never opened up in the same way. Instead, we're shown a sequence of events designed to make us believe the box is empty, when in reality Copperfield is hiding in plain sight. At the start, the box is turned 360 degrees, but afterward, only the front panel is opened, never the back, because Copperfield is concealed behind that very panel in the blind spot. But how so? Those 4 slots, or notches, are actually part of a precision sliding assembly known as an anti-cage creep crossroller guide. Unlike a plane slot, where surfaces scrape against each other, This system uses two parallel hardened track bases with V-shaped grooves. Inside those grooves, tiny steel rollers sit in a resin retainer and are arranged at alternating angles, allowing them to roll smoothly instead of dragging. The anti-cage creep feature keeps the retainer from drifting out of place, even under fast starts, stops, or vertical forces. The motorcycle platform is mounted on these guides, letting it silently and precisely glide into position, while staying perfectly level, even with both him and the heavy bike on it. They are positioned under the platform to spread the load evenly. Two are placed closer to the center to carry most of the weight, keeping the middle rigid. The other two are placed further toward the edges to prevent tilt or rocking when the platform moves, keeping the load perfectly balanced. So, in the beginning of the trick, Copperfield is hidden inside the box while it is being shown all around. Then, right before the front panel is opened, the curtain on the back panel is pulled up manually like roller blinds by one of the two assistants in the back. These curtains are also magnetically attached to the back frame, which is why a part of the curtain briefly detached from the main frame, creating a visible gap before the magnet quickly snapped it back into place. The curtains don't have to be pulled all the way up, only halfway, just enough for the motorcycle to pass through. Copperfield only needs to duck down as the platform is slid, either behind the back panel or in front of it. You can even see the assistant on the right side during the live performance pushing inward so much that it looks like he is going right into the box. Then he suddenly pops his head back out, and his right hand can be seen touching the side of the box and looking up, which is exactly when he slides those roller blinds down. Some might think this method cannot work because of the wires wrapped around each panel to prevent any escape, but these wires are only there to sell the illusion. In his America's Got Talent performance, when the box is shown from all sides, you can spot a difference. The front and side panel wires stay visible as the box turns, but the back panel wires seem to vanish at certain angles. At the same angle, the front panel wires are still clear. This is because the back panel wires are not real wires at all. They are printed lines, and when bright light hits them, they become almost invisible on camera. Once everything is set, the illusion continues toward Copperfield's appearance from the shadow. Although it appears in the shadow as if his right hand is holding the handle of the motorcycle, in reality his left hand is on the handle. This means the light source was in his right hand, switched on with his left hand positioned slightly away and in front of it, before he lowered the light source behind the motorcycle. This created the shadow of him with the motorcycle on the front panel. A few seconds later, as the panel began to lift, he quickly hid the light source behind the motorcycle. You can see his right hand making that move in the last moments before the curtain is removed, but because the light was still on, its brightness gave away its position by hitting the back panel. Behind this mask, only the truth remains till we meet again.